Making Light of Evil Part 2. In Part 1, we discussed haunted houses. In Part 2, we're now going to be going into Halloween. The occult origins of Halloween. How Halloween is connected to Nimrod and Semiramis, the horned god, and much, much more. It is my hope that if you're a teenager, if you're a child, if you're a parent who is tempted by Halloween, that today you view this without bias. And when you view it, you compare it to the scriptures. Because Halloween is no good. In Ezekiel 8:17 it says, "Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? Is it a light thing?" Folks, is it a light thing to the Church of God today that they commit the abominations which they commit? Is it a light thing? Taking things lightly. Taking abominations lightly. For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, this is the part that I believe upsets God. They put the branch to their nose. Society commits sin and then puts the branch to their nose, making light of evil. During Halloween, 3 John 11 should be enough. Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. He that doeth good is of God, but he that doeth evil has not seen God. During Halloween, you have children dressing up as their favorite superhero. Usually these superheroes fall into the transhumanist agenda, where you're dressing up as Iron Man, you're dressing up as Spider-Man, you're dressing up as Superman. Children are idolizing transhumanism without even recognizing it, because these quote-unquote superheroes aren't truly just human. They're human / DNA manipulated beings, abominations. Not only that, but this also fits into the whole equation of where everyone can do whatever they want and it should be accepted. Homosexuality now is rampant among the land. Homosexuality has been pushed forth as love wins. At the end of the day, anybody can be anybody, and you can't say anything about it according to popular beliefs now out there. And when you dress your children, and you allow your children to embrace evil, and you allow your children to dress up in characters which are ungodly, you, without even knowing it, are partaking of evil. Here's a clip of what Samhain, some say Samhain, All Hallows Eve means. An ancient Irish tribe called the Celts had a religious sect. An ancient Irish tribe called the Celts had a religious sect called Druids, who performed ancient and magic rituals. One of the Druids' religious festival was Samhain, celebrated in the transitional stages of fall and winter. Samhain was celebrated on what is now October 31st and was held just before the Celtic New Year on the following day. You see, during this time, winter was one of the roughest times in the ancient days, and many people died as the result of atrocious temperature drops and lack of food, caused by premature destruction of crops and by the unforgiving cold. And here it goes, family. The Druids believed that the boundaries between the world of the living and the world of the dead began greatly blurred at this time, and that the vengeful and restless spirits would wander the earth. You and I would know these quote-unquote vengeful and restless spirits as demons, fallen angels. In witchcraft, in Wicca, in many of these Druid religions, they believe that there are good spirits and bad spirits. Little do they know that they're being played by the same fallen angels and demonic principalities. So in order to confuse the spirits so that they could not be harmed, the Druids would dress in animal skins and masks in order to avoid being identified by the spirits. They also raised up large bonfires and threw animal bones from slaughtered livestock into the fire as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. Now, of course, different druids did it differently, because with witchcraft is a religion of quote-unquote me and I, very satanic, so you can do what you want within it. And as you can see, what has now evolved into your children dressing up as transhumanist superheroes, what has now evolved into you knocking door to door trick-or-treating, was nothing more than a tradition done to try to disguise yourself when the evil spirits were roaming the earth. So, the Word of God tells us that we are to have the full armor of God, that we're to depend on Jesus Christ for everything. We can cast out devils in Jesus Christ, right? Yet when you're dressing up your children in these costumes, without even recognizing it, what you're doing is following a tradition that states that you can confuse the world of the dead, the world of the spirits, and that is unbiblical. If demonic principalities are attacking our lives, we're to depend on Jesus Christ, not dressing up in some sort of animal skin to avoid being identified by spirits. Not only that, but there are various stories in regards to what trick-or-treat developed into. The most common one is, well, what I read, that they raised up large bonfires and threw sacrifices unto the Celtic deities. Well, when someone knocks on your door and says trick or treat, right? What is it? You have to give a treat, which is a sacrifice, or else there's going to be some sort of a punishment towards it, which is the trick. Other stories that I've read in regards to this from pagan websites, just doing research, is that people will knock door to door to different homes, and when they would knock door to door to different homes, they would ask for a sacrifice. That one wasn't as popular. I've only read that once in what I've been researching about it. But one thing you can know, and it's basic, that trick or treat is not something that is of God. Because the word trick or treat is manipulative in nature. It states, give me a treat or else I'm going to do something to you. I'm going to trick you. And that's not godly at all. That's not biblical at all. When researching the carved pumpkins with a little candle inside of it, when researching that, you start recognizing and realizing that this was meant to ward off evil spirits. And some traditions will say that that would also draw forth good spirits to your home. It would ward off bad spirits and call forth good spirits into your home. And some will say, well, Talia, I'm just carving a pumpkin. Jesus Christ made the pumpkin. What's so bad about me carving it with a face? Get over it. To you I ask, have you carved the pumpkin in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September? No. You're carving it now to fall with the tradition. You want to carve a pumpkin with a happy face in February, go for it. But you don't. You only do it now because you want to fall for the traditions. And when you do it and you want to honor that tradition, understand that you're so forth calling good spirits, whatever that is, to your home. And understand that it's all demonic. There are no such things as good and bad spirits. Those are fallen angels and demonic principalities that are playing with your family. The Holy Spirit, that's who you should be having in your house. The Holy Spirit. Not these counterfeit spirits. Not these demonic principalities that are roaming the earth. It gets even deeper. Not that we have to go deeper, but you have to understand that in Leviticus 18:21 it states, "And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord." Molech was this Apis bull. Some call him by Baal and many other names. Set, the golden calf, Shemosh, many other names. Usually he is depicted as a horned, quote-unquote God. We know he's not God, but to these pagans, they consider him a god. And when you research Molech, you'll start learning really quickly that he usually appears as a calf almost, as a bull. Moloch was worshipped a lot, and Moloch is still worshipped right now. Even in Acts 7:43 in the New Testament, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan. And that star of your god Remphan, that's an interesting topic there alone. Interesting topic there alone that we shall go into. Figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. So Moloch worship was existent in the Old Covenant, Old Testament, where God warned them not to take their children to Moloch, not to pass them through the fire. You see, Moloch, it is believed that it was a statue that you will light up with fire and sacrifice your children before it. And in the New Testament, we see that they're still building tabernacles to Moloch, the horned deity. When you look at history and you look at so many different horned quote-unquote gods, and these pagans call them gods, these are not gods. These are statues. These are characters that come and go. Statues which you can hit with a hammer and they break. Hieroglyphics that you can scratch off the wall and they disappear. When you look at Pan, a horned quote-unquote god, according to them, he was no god. When you look at the Wiccan Green Man, horned quote-unquote god again. Molech, horned quote-unquote god again. Cernunnos, horned quote-unquote god again. When you look at the version of the American Devil, he has horns as well. Some will even say that even the golden calf that was worshipped in Exodus 32 was because of the traditions of worshipping a horned type of a deity. That's just speculation, but just sharing with you what I've researched on. We can go to Rhea and Kronos. You will find the horned god in many different places, and a lot of these traditions which worshipped a horned god stem from Semiramis and Nimrod. Why is this important? Because during the moment of Halloween, they believe that it's the rise of the horned god. In some Wiccan traditions by Samhain, the goddess has entered her incarnation of Crone. Who is that goddess, you may ask? Well, that goddess is the one that rises during Easter, Ostara, Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven, the wife of Nimrod. She is the old one, the Earth Mother, according to them. The wise one returned to when we need advice. She teaches us that sometimes we must let go in order to move on. The god at Samhain is the horned one, the stag of great antlers, and this is very important, the god of the wild hunt. Pay attention to that because it ties into Nimrod. He is the animal that dies so that we may eat, and the grains and corn that once lived in the field before our harvest. Here you see different examples of deities that these pagans worship. God Papupati, Pachupati. I have no idea what it means, but that's what it says. They come up with crazy names. God Pachupati, Pachupati, whatever that is. And it is interesting that their god is the god of the wild hunt, and in Genesis 10:9, Nimrod was a mighty hunter. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. As scripture tells us, there is nothing new under the sun. The same mystery Babylon traditions followed then, they're being followed now. Nothing new under the sun. Semiramis was worshipped then. Semiramis is worshipped now during Easter. Nimrod was worshipped then, and he's now worshipped as the horned god in Halloween. And the same can be applied to all of these different holidays that are pagan and of nature that is pagan. In Jeremiah 7:18, it tells us about the Queen of Heaven, which is Ostara to these pagans. The Bible speaks of Ashtoreth, right? That is the quote-unquote Queen of Heaven, okay? You have to understand that these demonic principalities are still being worshipped. The children, look at this, the children gather wood. The children gather wood. So it got so bad, and you should expand the video, that Even children were involved in these traditions, and children are involved in it today. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough, to make cake to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. So during Easter, she rises according to pagans, and the horned god goes to rest. But during Halloween, the Queen of Heaven goes to rest, and the horned god rises, which is Nimrod. He is the god of the wild hunt according to most pagans. And in Genesis 10:9, we see that Nimrod was a mighty hunter. And if you look at different types of stories about Nimrod, he not only protected people, gave him a false sense of protection, but he was definitely a mighty hunter. He was a demonic man. And under the principalities of the fallen angels, Nimrod and Semiramis, the Queen of Heaven, Ashtoreth, all of these legends came from them. Below that, you have a picture. I would recommend making the screen big so that you can see how much these two individuals are worshipped. That is a pagan satanic altar. On the left, you have the Queen of Heaven. And the Catholic Church, doesn't the Catholic Church call Mary the Queen of Heaven? God tells us not to worship the Queen of Heaven, but the Catholic Church calls Mary the Queen of Heaven. In this picture here, you see the Queen of Heaven on the left and Nimrod, the horned god, on the right. It's Nimrod worship. It's satanic worship. And my brother and sister in the Lord today, God does not want you to drink of that cup. In 1 Corinthians 10:21, ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. And I know that what other Christians may say, oh, Tally, people get on Halloween, but look at the stuff that they watch. Look at the stuff that you do. Look at the stuff that other people do. Listen, at the end of the day, forget about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing in your house. Worry about what you're doing with your family. Worry about if you're training up your child, as in Proverbs 22:6 states. Because we're living in a godless society. At least growing up maybe in the 50s, 60s, 70s, there was at least a little bit of godly conviction in the people. Not anymore in America. And if now that your children are in your home, within the boundaries of your influence, where you can influence them to follow the kingdom of Jesus Christ, if now that they're within your grasps of influence, you're training them up in the way of the world instead of the way of God, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it when they get to 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, because when they fall away into the world, you're going to regret it. I can tell you that in my story, it was the gospel that my father preached when I was a child that brought me back later on in life. Because you don't forget, that conviction is there. That Spirit of God is there convicting you consistently, bringing you back into Jesus Christ. And maybe as a family today, maybe you're watching this with your children, you're watching this with your husband, you're watching this with your spouse, your pastor. I know some congregations that actually tell me that they watch this as Bible study, glory to God. And you're in a position that as you're watching this video, you're convicted because you've fallen short. And you've fallen for the deception. Listen, the good thing about Jesus Christ, and I can tell you personally, that if we confess our sins, He is faithful. That's the beauty of Jesus Christ. He is faithful to forgive. He is faithful to restore. Little by little, you've drifted away from God as a family, as a congregation. And even you as an individual who's watching me that is a brother and sister in the Lord, yet like me, and like many others, you've stumbled. You're having a rough patch at some point in time in your walk. It's happened to me. And it is no fun, because once you stumble, it is so hard to come back to Jesus Christ and simply say, Jesus, forgive me. It is so hard because the devil tempts you to fall into sin. And once you fall into sin, he starts kicking you down and down and down and down and down. But I come to tell you today the good news that is found in Jesus Christ. Jesus can set your home free. Jesus can restore your walk today, my brother and sister in the Lord. If you fall and listen to me in Jesus' name, He can restore you right now. There's godly conviction, and then there's the satanic slander from Satan, which aims to push you away from God. Godly conviction brings you back to the Father. Come back home to Jesus Christ. As in Joshua 24:15, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. This isn't about not having fun with children either. You can have a lot of fun with your kids every single day. It doesn't have to involve Halloween. Build up a legacy with your children so that when they have children, they saw the example from you and they pass on to a different legacy. In Jesus' precious, beautiful name. If you need prayer, if you need anything, visit our website, www.tallyforgod.com. We're there for you. I also want to continue to ask for prayers for myself. I'm your brother. Although I'm making this video preaching the gospel, that doesn't mean I'm any better than you. I'm just your brother in the Lord, and I need your prayers. And I need your prayers, my family. I appreciate everything you do in watching the videos every week and supporting the ministry and everything you do. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you for passing by each week. Continue to keep me in prayer, and we love you. Share this video with anyone who you know is involved in Halloween. Make it of your day to share it with them. Jesus is the only way. I love you. I thank you. Keep on seeking Jesus. God bless you.